Crypto Caesar Capital. Hope you're well. It's the 4th of November 2023, and we are going to have a quick look at the markets. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at Bitcoin on the weekly time frame on the Coinbase chart. Then we're going to look at some indicators. We're going to look at the bull market support band and the Gaussian channel. We're going to look at Bitcoin on the longer term time frame. Then we're going to look at the altcoins in general. Then we'll look at XRP specifically. And then we will consider the 10 altcoins that Caesar Capital dropped on the 28th of September and see how they are performing since they were dropped. Okay, so without further ado, let's take a look at this chart. So you've probably watched my previous videos. If you haven't, you'll see when you go back that we talk about this quite a lot. This is the inverse head and shoulders that Bitcoin has printed. Now, an inverse head and shoulders is a bullish pattern. A head and shoulders is a bearish pattern, but this is an inverse head and shoulders, and you can see why. We've got the left shoulder here, which was printed on around about June 22. Then we've got the head, which was the 4-year cycle low back in November 22. And then the right shoulder printed around about March or so 2023. So we've got this left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and the way a trader can forecast what the price might be once it breaks above the neckline is quite simple, really. All you do is you measure from the neckline to the head, which gives you the measurement. Then you put that measurement on top of the neckline, which gives you your measured move. And the measured move is about 41K or thereabouts, and some change, which incidentally is the Fibonacci or thereabouts, around about the Fibonacci 618, which is a significant Fibonacci number. So they've got some confluence there. So that seems to be the legitimate target for the moment. But the big question is what's going to happen in the short term? Is Bitcoin going to come back down and test this area of 31K or 30K or so, or is it going to continue to the upside to its target before it then comes back down and tests the area of what we hope support of about 30K or so? Or is it going to continue, break through the 618 and all the way up to the 786, which again is a legitimate target because Bitcoin does like to reach out to the 786, and it's always historically reached out to the 786 prior to each halving cycle. And I dealt with that, I think, in the last video or the video before. So what's the answer? Well, the answer is I don't know. But if I did know, I would be a magician, and unfortunately I'm not a magician. But what I can do is I can say this: we have this area here of about 30 to 31K, which was a significant area of once resistance. Okay, this resistance continued for until we broke it, 31 weeks, which is months and months and months of significant resistance. Okay, but we also had this significant support below about 25K, but we broke above this significant resistance. Okay, after months and months and months, we've broken above it, which is really quite positive. But what the markets usually like to do is come back and test any areas of significant what once was significant resistance. It wants to come back and test it as support. Okay, so whether we get to 40K or 39K or whatever and come back down and test it, or whether we go all the way back up, all the way up to 50K and then come back and test it, I don't know. But what I do know is I think that there is a high probability that at some point in the future, whether that might be next week, tomorrow, next month, next year, at some point we're going to come back, I would say, and test this area, because this is a significant area, because it took such a long time for us to break above it. The market will probably want to, in high probability, come back and test it at some point in the future. What we've got at the moment as well, interestingly, with the price, with this candlestick is interesting, okay? Because right now, this looks to me like it could either be a spinning top or a doji, okay? If we could just get a little bit more meat on that candle, I would be a little bit more confident in us continuing to the upside. But let's take a look quickly at candlestick patterns. So here's some candlestick patterns. And this is what I mean. If we can finish on a doji, that's not too bad because it's a neutral candlestick pattern, or at least some for a spinning top or a doji, that would be neutral. So, you know, the alarm bells wouldn't be ringing at that point. But if we finish up on a gravestone doji, which you can see here, so, you know, where the price has rejected and come right back down, then that would be a little bit of a red flag to me and could indicate that we could be going back down to test that area of 30K. But, you know, something like a doji or a spinning top would certainly not be as bad as a gravestone doji. So it'll be interesting to see where the price goes. But I think, you know, generally speaking, my view is whether we come back down and test 30K before, at some point we're going to take out the 40K mark, and at some point we're going to take out the 50K mark, or get to the 50K mark. And as I showed you in my previous video, or the video before that, you'd have to go back and look, you will see that Bitcoin always has previously, in previous cycles, reached out to the 786 prior to the Bitcoin halving. So if Bitcoin continues in this cyclical nature, the chances are is we're going to test this area just before the halving, or you know, at some point before the halving, and then maybe there'll be a nice bit of a pullback and then move on, continuing into the halving. Right, so let's have a look at the Gaussian channel and the bull market support band. So the bull market support band is here in orange, and you can see it tracking the price, the moving averages, and then we have the Gaussian channel, which is in green and pink, and we have the median line to the Gaussian channel, which runs through the middle. Now, firstly, and interestingly, the median line has acted as support since April 23. So Bitcoin just did not want to break down below the median line of the Gaussian channel. Now, that's really, really positive, because once you break down below the median line of the Gaussian channel, it always spells disaster. Here, disaster, broke down through it, came right down. But, you know, that was, of course, the COVID low. And then you can see here during the bear market, we got down below it, and then that spells disaster. Okay, here, median line broken, disaster, etc. You can go back and look at it yourself on a weekly time frame. Make sure you look at a logarithmic chart, but essentially breaking down below the median line spells disaster generally for Bitcoin. But we didn't. We held it, and we held it really, really well. And I think that that just shows real significant strength for Bitcoin. And I think it is very, very, very unlikely that we are now going to break down below the median line of the Gaussian channel. The only thing that would cause that would be some form of unforeseen event like we had with COVID. But as long as nothing like that happens, then the likelihood is even if we come back down to test the median line, at the moment that's at 25K, sorry, and that will continue to rise as time moves on. But also, interestingly enough, once Bitcoin gets above the Gaussian channel and convincingly closes weekly candles above the Gaussian channel, or the top of the Gaussian channel, it generally likes to stay above it. Okay, and the top of the Gaussian line, the top of the line of the Gaussian channel at the moment is 28.7 and rising. So that kind of sits with what we were considering a moment ago when I was saying we could come back and test that 30K area. Maybe we might have a little spike down towards that area, but who knows? But at the moment, it's at 28.7. But you can see my point here. Once going all the way back to 2015, once Bitcoin gets above the top of the Gaussian channel, it generally likes to stay there. Okay, and we are, in my view, in a bull market because Bitcoin is printing higher lows on a consistent higher time frame basis. So my guess is that we will probably remain above the Gaussian channel now for a considerable amount of time. And you can see here back in 2015. It got above the Gaussian channel and it just remained above it for a considerable amount of time. Back in 2019, we managed to get above the Gaussian channel. We had this really big extended move, which in fact reached out to the 786. So we can see here, you can see the price bottomed out in December of 2018. Then there was this huge parabolic move, probably overextended, to be honest, but went right up and then tipped the top of the 786, which was about 14K at that point, and then came back down, tested the median line, bounced off it, came back up. Then we had the COVID event, okay? And I think if the COVID event hadn't have happened, we never would have continued below the median line. We would have just probably got above the Gaussian channel again and continued or held that area of kind of 9-10K and then continued to the upside. So this is a bit of an outlier, really. But generally speaking, you can see my point. When Bitcoin gets above that area of the Gaussian channel, it remains there for a considerable amount of time. And this is my point on the 786. So you could see, sorry about that. A moment ago, I showed you how Bitcoin in the bear market came down the low, then it came up to test the 786. That was before the halving. And then you can see here again, apologies, that it did pretty much the same just before the halving. Let's put the halving in. So you can see just before the Bitcoin halving back in 2016, it came up and tested that area of the 786. Then there was a nice little sell-off, got close to the top of the Gaussian channel, then off she went again. Okay, so you can see the point, and you can see the significance now of the Gaussian channel. You can see the significance of the 786 and the 618. Now, the bull market support band is interesting. It's not as reliable, it really, is the Gaussian channel, but the bull market support band, generally speaking, when Bitcoin gets above the bull market support band, it likes to trade above it for a while at least. And you can see where the bull market support band is now. In fact, it's right at the top of that area of the Gaussian channel. So we've got some confluence there that, you know, if Bitcoin was going to come back down and test this area, the chances are is it should hold that 31K area, 30K area, or we might get a little spike down to the top of the Gaussian channel, which is around about, well, I would say it's about 29K at the moment, but it's continuing to rise. So interesting to see what happens, but we've got confluence in that area of about 29, 30K. All right, so let's have a look at Bitcoin on the longer term time frame. So you've seen this chart, I'm sure, many times before, having watched my other videos. If you haven't, you can go back, but this is what I call the Bitcoin rhythm. And you can quite clearly see here, there is a rhythm with Bitcoin and its cycles. Bitcoin is a very cyclical asset. It really likes to trade in cycles. You can see here how it trades in those cycles. Essentially, the pink or red boxes indicate the bear market time frame, and the green boxes indicate the bull market time frame. So you can see here, essentially what Bitcoin does, it spends 1 year in a bear market and 3 years in a bull market. So 58 weeks it spent in a bear market, 151 weeks it spent in a bull market. Again, 53 weeks here back in 2018 in a bear market. And then from 2018 to November 21, 152 weeks in a bull market. We've had our bear market now, which lasted 51 weeks. This wasn't the longest bear market in history, as people like to call it. In fact, it was the shortest bear market in history of Bitcoin. But what is clear from this chart is we've had our bear market, we're now in our bull market, and Bitcoin will continue to grind to the upside until we get to the 4-year cycle high, which will come in around about the fall, so autumn time, maybe a little bit later, maybe a little bit earlier of 2025. So everything looking good for me on the longer term time frame. Bitcoin's just doing its thing. It's grinding to the upside. It's in a bull market. I don't care what anybody else says. I completely disagree with them. For me, Bitcoin is clearly and confidently in a bull market. Right, so let's have a look at the altcoins. So, you know, I like to look at the chart others. Others essentially is the top 150 cryptocurrencies minus the top 10. I like minusing the top 10 out because it takes the noise out, and it also, most importantly for me, takes the stable coins out. Stable coins are a huge market dominance now over the market. They never were previously, ever. in crypto history, but now they are. I mean, USDT is what, $86 billion market cap, USDC not far behind it. So that kind of creates a problem for the trader when they're looking at the altcoin market, because it clouds everything out. Okay, it doesn't give you a clear view in my mind, and in my view, looking at others, which is the top 150 minus the top 10, gives you a bit of a clearer indication. So again, don't want to bore you with it because I've done loads of videos on this before, but we can clearly see here that Bitcoin works, that the altcoins work in a cycle alongside the Bitcoin halving. And you can see what happens in a bear market is they remain in an accumulation phase. Then just before the halving, or on it, they break, or let's just say close to the halving, either side of the halving, the altcoins like to break out and go on this lovely parabolic price discovery to the upside. Again, bear market here, you can see back in 2018, 19, nice breakout in May of 2020, bang on the Bitcoin halving. And we're coming close up here to the top of this range. So, I mean, we could get a breakout sooner, but, you know, the past data indicates to me that we might get to the top of this range. There might be a little bit of a deviation above it, but the likelihood is that it's probably going to reject off there, okay, and then probably go sideways for a bit. And then once we get closer to the halving, which isn't far away at all, it's, you know, around about the 8th of April or the first 2 weeks of April at the moment. Once we get there, you know, either close to it or just after it or on it, we're going to start breaking out and going to the upside. So at the moment, it's a good time to start taking positions on altcoins. It's hard to know whether it's going to break out or when it's going to break out, but the past data suggests to me that it's going more likely than not going to be a little bit closer to the halving instead of this far away from the halving. So let's look at XRP, because XRP seems to have got quite a lot of press over the last few years, really. I know some people don't like XRP. You know, it's not my favorite asset on the planet, but at the end of the day, I don't really care about what things are about. What I care about is making money and making a trade. And for me, XRP looks pretty good, and I'll explain to you why. Number one, it has legal clarity. There is nothing hanging over its head. So it's got that legal clarity, and therefore that is nothing but bullish. Number two, XRP and Ripple have had nothing but problems for the last few years. And despite those problems, if you look back in history at where XRP sits on CoinMarketCap, it's always been in the top 5, top 6 cryptocurrencies since about 2016 or 2017. So that just shows strength in my view. And if XRP could remain in those top 6, having that lawsuit hanging over its head, then I just think that is just nothing but bullish. So let's look at the chart, okay? I think XRP is going to have a significant run this cycle, and it's for the reasons I just mentioned. But a good way, or a basic way a trader might look at where an asset's price is going in the future is by using the trend-based fib extension. So not a Fibonacci tool, but a trend-based Fibonacci tool. Okay, it's important to use the trend-based Fibonacci tool. And the way you measure on a trend-based basis, without saying basis too many times, is you start from the bottom of the move, you go to the top of the move, okay, and then you come back down to the low or the bottom of that move, which is around about 10 cents. And that gives you your basic indication of where the price might be going in the future. So we've got the 1618, which is $5.66, the 2618, which is about $9.10, and then you've got the full reach out and 3618, which is around about $12 or $13 basically, or thereabouts. So some pretty good upside targets for XRP. Not sure where it's going to go, but to be honest, even if it can claim or touch the 1618, I mean, that's a significant move, just under a 10x move from where it is now. Anything above that is a bonus, you know, coming up to $8.90 and then $13. Just, I mean, these aren't moon boy targets. These are legitimate, I would say, targets for any trader or investor. So on the short-term basis, you can see that we've got these areas here back in July 21, November 21 and January 22, which were acting as support. XRP then broke down from this area of support, which was quite a significant area because it was an area of support for a significant period of time, broke down, came back up to test it, rejected there, came back up again to test it, rejected, got the good news from the SEC lawsuit, complete and utter bull trap, came right up, and then back down below. Now we are on, you know, now it's crunch time really for XRP, because if XRP can close out this candle on the weekly time frame above this area of 60 cents, then it's got a good chance, in my view, of having a decent run up to about $1.20 or so before it comes back down and tests this area of 60 cents. But either way, XRP is looking pretty bullish. Who knows what will happen in the shorter term timeframes, but in my view, things are looking pretty good. And this is a horse that I am going to bet on this bull cycle. So let's take a look at my altcoin picks and how they've been performing. Okay, so as many of you know who watch the channel, who follow me on Twitter, who are in my VIP group, you will know that on the 28th of September of this year, we dropped a 33-page research document to the group, essentially looking at which altcoins we thought might perform the best, giving, you know, taking into account risk, taking into account risk-adjusted returns, and spreading your risk, you know, properly and confidently across the market. So we dropped 10. In fact, there are 13. There are 3 bonus picks, but we're just looking at the 10. And what I did on the 28th of September is I plotted a ghost trader by putting $5,000 into each one of these 10 assets equally across the board. And you can see since the 28th of September, it's been performing pretty well, almost 23% to the upside. So the ghost trader who would have put 50K in is now 11.5K up on that trade, which is extremely good. Not bad really for what, 28th September, so 28th of October. So just over a month, okay? This is pretty good. Now, I'm not saying it's going to continue to go up and up and up. There's going to be volatility with this, but, you know, this is just a perfect example of if you look at the right altcoins and you do the research, okay, which is what we did over months and months, hence the reason why it's 33 pages long. You look at the tokenomics, you look at what's going on in the market, you look at narratives. This is the sort of return you can expect in just a very short period of time. Obviously, we hope that this continues strongly to the upside, and I'm fairly confident that it will, but obviously there's going to be volatility in the interim. So doing pretty well there on Caesars 10. So that's it for the video today, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like the video. Please follow the channel. Get get us the followers. It's a hard grind on YouTube. If you want to join the group, reach out to me either on Twitter, or you can reach out to me on through the website, and the link is in the description. That's it. Thank you very much for listening, and I shall speak to you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.